All right, welcome to the lunchtime video. I've got to do some errands today. I was thinking about skipping this video, but I thought to myself, oh, it's the lunchtime video. This is the one video I think I've consistently been doing without any skips. Unfortunately, my hair did not grow back yet. I'm still working on that. So in the meantime, let's keep working on this test. So, right, so we're working through a really big involved lab. I've got to unfortunately violate my one topic per day goal to do that, but I think it's going to be worth it because I'm really going through a lot of important things, and I'm going to need to do it at a certain depth, especially with MPLS. There's just going to be a lot of areas that I will need to go over in a lot of depth. So I guess if I fail, I can go back and kind of, depending on how I do on the BGP section, because I have a feeling I'll do okay on I'll do fine on the BGP section, perhaps even good on the BGP section. But some of these other sections, QoS, MPLS, that I really haven't gotten to, that might be, because I'll do, if I fail, I'll go back and I'll do a video where I kind of assess my studying and kind of learn a little bit more about why I might have failed. I think they give you a printout on how you did on each topic, so I can go through. And hopefully there's not something ridiculous where it's like, oh, I failed frame relay. Well, it wasn't in the curriculum. Of course I failed that. I didn't study for that. But I think pass or fail, and I've mentioned this before, I'm just going to give myself the one shot because I don't work for an ISP right now. I've got this video series, which I think is evidence enough that I have ability in this field. And then of course, I have that work experience. So I do have real world hands-on. So it's like, I don't see the benefit in it, especially since I am more interested in DevOps, that sort of stuff, and conveniently that's even what's, I think, in much higher demand. So I think it's much more beneficial to me to study stuff I'm more interested in, that is in higher demand, and that high-level skills in will take me farther, because I could get a JNCIE-SP as, you know, and then oh, there just aren't any service providers hiring. So in the meantime, I wasn't brushing up on my Python. I wasn't making sure I've got really good Git habits, doing a lot of reaching out to devices programmatically instead of just how I am right now on the console. So it's definitely always something difficult, a very difficult problem. What do I need to work on and why? And often you just get in a flow. It's like, oh, this is what I do because this is what I always did. But take a look at your life. You might be like, well, you know, the point of studying is to kind of bring me into a better situation. So if I just continue to study further the topics that brought me here, that could be a problem. Which is why I personally, well, this is not a political channel. I was just going to say that I think education is a right in some ways, but let me be clear that this is a technical channel devoted to me passing this exam. Let me know in the comments if you want me to start a second channel when I talk about that stuff. I probably won't do it, but I will. Let's see here. You know what I'd like to hear in the comments? Focus. You could type that in the comments, that would really be amazing. Because I want to pass this exam. So that is what I'm going to do. And the other thing is, this is kind of a different beast, because you can say, I want candy. You can go to the store and you can get candy. You know, if you say, I want to pass this test, for a year, you've got to study hard and learn all the stuff. More than that, I mean, it's multiple years, because you've got to pass the prerequisites as well. So I can't just one day say, I want to do this, and then the next day say, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do this. It's just not going to work that way. You know, if I truly want to pass this test, I need to consistently want to pass this test for years. Like, it's not that I want it today and I want it tomorrow. It's that the word want means something differently to me. Like, yeah, and I think that is the case, actually. I'm just using the wrong word. It's not necessarily that I want to pass this test. It's that I believe that passing this test is one of the best ways to kind of assure that I have marketable career skills. Why I believe that, you know, this is what I'm talking about. I am actually really questioning that belief, because there might be other things I can do that that are more true, and that belief might actually be a little bit problematic in some ways. But as I've said many times before, anything verifiable, written down, backed by an institution, I think unquestionably is more valuable than something you can't prove and you can't really have somebody vouching for you that you did accomplish. And a lot of these skills aren't necessarily self-evident. It's not like I'm training to be a gymnast and you can tell whether or not I can do a backflip. It's, no, I'm training to be a network engineer, and yeah, I can show you that I know my way around the command line, that sort of thing, but it's building a network happens over time, so I can't just instantly show you today what I can do. I mean, I can pull up my lab, of course, but you know, that's suspect too, because you don't know if I made this, you don't know if it was pre-existing. That's what the purpose of this channel is, to demonstrate that. Really quick, really simple. Yes, I'm a network engineer. Yes, I know my stuff. Yes, I am studying for expert level exam. And I can't just do a backflip now and show you that I truly know this stuff. I mean, I can talk about it. If you ask me anything that I haven't gone over recently, I might not do the best job of talking about it, but I do have this channel that I think does demonstrate that I do take this career choice of mine, the choice to go in this direction, very seriously. Yeah, and if anyone's watching this and kind of wants to change their career a bit, when I went to networking school, there was actually a program where I think it was like a government backed program in the United States. But you could go get a 2-year degree in cybersecurity for free. Like, they would put you through the whole career. You get in, you get out, and you get a job working for the government in cybersecurity. So there's always good opportunities. There were some caveats. You had to be a full-time student, I think. You had to take a certain number of credits. You had a little bit more freedom if you didn't do that, but of course you had to pay your own way. Yeah, I ended up not choosing that program. I actually had a different way to make it through that worked for me. So I think I thought about it a little bit, but one, I wasn't too crazy about cybersecurity. I mean, I kind of was. Like, it's interesting. I like cybersecurity, but I guess let's put it this way: I was more enthusiastic about network engineering because when I went back to school, what I wanted to do is basically just challenge myself into a new direction and a new career, because it's just my life hadn't been going the way I wanted it to go. I wanted to be a professional musician. I wanted to play like in a major city orchestra for a living, just like live in a major city and play in the orchestra and like have that pay my way and just that be my life. But that did not work out, and I kind of have realized now that that's a little bit of a pipe dream. Like, that's really hard to do. Like, I know one of my good friends from when who I haven't talked to in forever, but I know somebody who made that work, and this person had an upbringing and resources that I just did not have. He had two siblings who went to, one went to Juilliard, the other one, I think they both went to Juilliard actually. And my friend didn't go to Juilliard, but he made it work, the thing I wanted to do. And he didn't do it through methods that were unavailable to me, is what I'm saying. Like, his whole direction in going through is something I probably could have followed if I had kind of taken it more seriously, practiced harder, that sort of thing. I probably could have followed in his footsteps and made that happen. But it's I think it is pretty kind of uncontroversial to say that without that family support that he had, and I did have good family support, but not at the level to where my two older brothers went to, one of the top music schools in the United States, if not the world, and are constantly wondering if I'm going to, when I'm going to make it or whatever. But that's what I really like about the field I'm in now. I'm in the exact same situation. I don't have it's not like I've been doing this since I was 10 and my father was a network engineer. One of my favorite things about this field is those scenarios aren't even really technically possible, because the goal is to work with emerging new systems. My current job right now, we're working on building something new. So it's not like I'm necessarily late to the game or I've just got a lot to learn. I mean, yes, I do have a lot to learn. Yes, it feels like I'm late to the game, but everybody feels that way. There's not just kind of a privileged class that has a huge head start on everyone else in the field. I mean, yeah, there are definitely kids whose parents worked in tech and who had more access to computers and more more experience coding young. And then there's I found a huge typing kind of, oh, what's the word? But there's I guess discrepancy is a decent word, especially amongst younger and older people, because I was actually lucky when I was a kid. I learned typing in middle school, but a lot of people did not have the opportunity to learn typing when they were young. And when you are young, your brain has more neuroplasticity, so it requires a little bit less effort to learn something, especially something new. There are advantages to being older, of course, having more controlled circumstances to do your work, being better able to utilize tools, productivity tools, and then of course having more volition and autonomy, and being able to make your own decisions about what you work on, how you work on, why you work on it. I think is a huge advantage over when it comes to learning as a adult versus learning as a child. But it really is undeniable, in my opinion, that neuroplasticity is more, your brain has more of that when you are younger. So therefore, people who learned typing in school do have a much I would say, an advantage over people who did not. And you know what, I would even say it's a little bit of an unfair advantage too. Like, especially nowadays, if there's somebody younger who's not learning to type in school, like in elementary school, like they need to be teaching that in elementary school, even in middle school, like people how to type, because just about every keyboard you use, especially when you're working on a job, is going to have, a QWERTY keyboard. Now there's a lot of questions there. Does every kid need to learn how to type QWERTY style? Does every kid need to learn how to type Dvorak? Does every kid need to learn how to use voice-assisted typing? So there's a lot of kind of variation there, but I think it's actually, it's a fine kind of meeting ground to just have every kid learn the QWERTY. And yes, I understand it might be more difficult for them to learn something like the Dvorak if they learn the QWERTY, but I think that's better than just learning nothing at all, because typing skill, I think, is on some level important. And I'll be honest too, you might have seen me looking down at my keyboard right now. So one thing that they did not teach in my middle school class was how to type numbers and how to type symbols. They kind of went that far, but thinking back, it was really just myself and one other student that achieved the ranks of the advanced typers, and this student had a different upbringing than mine, and kind of more access to, or it appeared to have more access to a means to type at home than I did, and was just rocking the symbols, rocking the numbers. But myself, I just was learning the basics of the class, but compared to all the other students, I believe I was really kind of achieved especially in terms of speed, because one of the things I remember I liked to do was just find like the easiest things to type and just try to type it as fast as I could. And I got probably the high scores doing that, but that's just what I remember. Might not have been true, and of course, those are the only students I talked to and compared against. It might have been a quiet kid, you know, or I just had a misconception of how I was doing. That's always possible. But I'm just bringing it up because this channel is about kind of helping people find a better life. And I think learning computer skills is a good idea. Yeah, and I realize access to a computer is super important, but you know, you can go to even if you're living in a tent under the bridge, as I see a lot of people doing, you can go to the library for an hour or 2 a day, maybe, if it's close enough to walk to. I mean, maybe you can't. I don't know how all that works. It's just, I will say, and you know, as I said, this isn't a political channel. This is meant to be studying for the test, but it's just undeniable how things are in the United States right now. And it's to the point where I don't even blame anybody for kind of failing and living in a tent under a bridge right now. It's just, there are not opportunities to succeed, and it's just going to get far worse too over time. Like the next few months, like it's just, and I used to do something downtown. It was like a club where we gathered together. And when I first started doing that, you know, it was pretty quiet downtown. A few people, a few students would walk past. But I actually moved away from where I was. And my last few weeks there were more homeless people down there than there were people in it was a juggling club I was in. There were more homeless people showing up than there were jugglers when I left, because it's just, there's so many more homeless people now, and it's really it's just impossible to ignore, and it's kind of, I think, a little bit irresponsible not to talk about sometimes. But okay, I just bring that up though because I was bored typing all that out. But I've still got a lot more to go. And again, I keep saying, you know, this is a technical channel. It's not meant to talk about that sort of thing. So I do apologize if I am kind of ham-fisting it or not talking about it in kind of a, let's see here, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is gonna be 4. In a way that would be more typical of what you would see on a channel where it is the primary focus. If I'm not going into detail, or if I'm not kind of living up to the level of that sort of channel. That the reason for that is because I'm literally, that is not what this channel is about. And in an ideal situation, I really wouldn't even talk about that at all on this channel. It's just lately things have been so undeniably and fundamentally different in the United States than they ever have been before. It's just impossible not to talk about it a little bit. Oops, so, okay, so I've got some more configuration to go when it comes to the L2 circuit neighbor. But the other configuration is going to be a second neighbor. So it's going to have a different, nope. So that's not right. So we've only got one neighbor, 100.0.0.1. But we've got 2 logical units. So each logical unit is, of course, going to have their own virtual circuit ID. They're going to have the same type of encapsulation. And then this is just the kind of sprinkles on the cake. Oh. Okay, yeah, I was just wondering why there are two logical units in here. And I really kind of don't see the answer to that. But hopefully, eventually that will become more clear. Yeah, and this one thing I want to be more clear about too is that this, what I am doing here, going in and manually typing character by character each of these commands, typing it wrong, going back, deleting and tabbing it out. This is not typically how I would do it in production. I mean, sometimes it would have to come down to this for just like some corrections or some like troubleshooting. But typically I would have like some method of generating the configuration. Oh, and somebody is running a something and it is very loud, so I'm going to wear this. Yeah, so typically I would have the config generated somewhere and just be pasting it in like line by line. Or I could have some sort of automation that just pushes the configs out. This is not typically how I would configure a device in the real world, which is another reason why studying for this test is something I'm kind of struggling with justifying the time that it is taking. So that's kind of why that's a major reason why whether I pass or fail, I think I'll be moving on from this and working on different things. But I'll be doing it on this channel, so that's good news. I think the kind of the best thing I can do for my career is have a public-facing channel, maybe with less off-the-rails rants like I just had. But this is kind of meant to be almost like a public-facing resume in some ways. Okay, so okay, so let's just think about what kind of interfaces these are. Yep, so it's going to be the first four, I believe. So it's going to be .0. Yeah, so these first four, these are the special links that get MPLS. It's going to stop at 3 because 0 counts. All right. All right, so hopefully that commits. Oops, so nope, did not commit, and it failed on 005, but it did not fail in 004. That's really interesting. So let's take a look at that. So 004 starts here. Okay, so I wonder if I missed. So it looks like I got the VLAN ID range statement incorrect on this interface. Let's take a look at that. That's not true. So another thing that could have gone horribly wrong is missing the flexible VLAN tagging command. Let's see if that made it on there. Okay, that made it on there. So it looks like I used the wrong encapsulation. I used VLAN CCC instead of flexible Ethernet services. So let's fix that. Excellent. Time for router 3. Oh, so looks like the third router they want to configure is named R0. Okay, so here's everything that goes on router 3. Much more sophisticated. Wow, okay, yeah, much more sophisticated configuration. Let's take a look at the topology to kind of get a sense of why this is much more sophisticated. I'm guessing, let me just kind of come up with a guess of why I think it's more sophisticated. So what we're trying to do essentially is we've got a network like this. And then we're delivering services to our customers off here. So we've got to transport their services through. So the reason we're setting it up the way we are now is because we want to avoid this situation where we need special configuration for MPLS between each segment. And not only that, we've got to have special configuration depending on the type of service the customer has ordered. So instead, what we want is this same situation, but we just want our MPLS configuration to be seamless across and not have to account for individual legs of our topology. So my hypothesis is that there will be this R0 is going to be one of these routers here. That's why it has so much configuration. And if we did not have this seamless MPLS configuration, we would need that kind of configuration here. So we're really saving ourselves a lot of configuration, but we're just not going to be doing that on these devices. They still have to have that level of sophistication in their config because they are the equivalent of these here. But the good news is we get rid of that in this middle area here. So let's take a look at the actual topology and see if R0 is has this sort of role in the network. Okay, so it looks like R0 is literally the opposite of the okay, so it's a BNG router, that's for sure. Let's try to learn more about what a BNG router. Let's try to determine in this simplified topology which of these routers would be BNG routers, and I think it would be one of these. Now I remember there was a pretty good, I thought, drawing of this. Yeah, this was really good. So let's see which one would be a BNG. Okay, so that's interesting. This is kind of not my understanding of what I have worked on and what I have read does not seem to be in line with what the actual message is that is being delivered. I seem to really not be comprehending the full message very well, because I would have thought that these would be BNGs. I guess where I'm going wrong is this aggregation cloud. So I'm kind of I've got it right in some sense. Well, no, I just don't have it right in any sense. But you can see that these clouds are different kinds of clouds. We have aggregation clouds and core clouds. And what I think my problem was is I was thinking of everything here as a core cloud, and I wasn't considering the fact that we are discussing two different kinds of cloud in this subject matter, the aggregation cloud and the core cloud. Okay, I'm going to need to take a quick break. I'll be back soon. Oh, I probably won't have enough time to finish that. Well, I might. We'll see how far I get. So, but in the meantime, I will be back shortly. All right, I am back, and I have about 15 minutes. I do have a meeting today, meeting at 1, but it is not quite 11:45 yet. Okay, so I gotta be careful that I'm looking at the config for the correct device. Oops. Oh, yep. So router 1, now router 2. So I gotta find the config for router 3. For router 0, actually. Ah, here it is. So no time to waste. Set system dynamic profile options versioning. Okay, I have that. So let's take a closer look at that command, because I've never seen that before. So we've got, okay, so this is to enable dynamic profile versioning. I've never heard of that before, but it is now enabled. All right. So, okay, so the next step looks like it's making a dynamic profile now that that is enabled. So it's kind of similar to the same command for if I do edit system scripts, and then set question mark, like setting the language, setting the OP scripting. So if I do it like edit OP, you can see I've got I can set a file. So it's kind of similar to that, it looks like. In the sense that you can't use an OP script until you enable OP scripting. So we can't use dynamic profiles until we enable dynamic profile versioning. Oh, I think they're just getting like super fancy. Okay, I'm gonna put this in a different thing. I'll put it in the Notepad++. Okay, so there's that noise again. I'm not sure what that is, but I will put on these and it will go away. Sounds like a vacuum or something. I mean, that's good. Something's being vacuumed and cleaned. That's worth the discomfort of that noise. Even though it's not cleaning it for me, it's, well, it could be cleaning a public area. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so we've got multiple dynamic profiles. It looks like we just got 2 of them. So let's focus on the first one. Let's actually just go here first. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, time for the next dynamic profile. It's going to be named PPOE client profile. It looks like it's just going to stick here for all of them. Makes it a lot more convenient. So I don't know if I'll be able to do PPOE in my lab, but I'll give it a try. Okay, so this is really good because I've got class of service coming up. I think it's right now the last one that's on the plan to go over. So it's a good thing I've got practice now because that might end up being neglected. I know from doing the math that my rate of going through all these subject matter is far too slow. Okay, so it looks like we're going to need another dynamic profile. I'm not sure why they kind of flipped up the order, but yep, so here's the next dynamic profile we're going to need. All right, so we got one more dynamic profile. It kind of looks like it's the same. Oh, yeah, it's the same. Okay, so this is all just one massive dynamic profile. We've got some more after that. All right, so this is going to be my last command, and then I'm going to need to cut it short because I've got a meeting. Okay, so I'll just do a quick commit check on it just because I'm curious. Wow, that's actually kind of surprising to me. Well, I'm definitely going to commit it because it's going to reboot, so I would lose that. But when I come back, I will begin on line 38. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.